Today our discussion is principle number 7, which says the proper role of government is to protect equal rights, not provide equal things. This is a very basic discussion we're going to have today about what the founders felt like really was the definition of government. Let me ask you, let's begin here on page 116 by asking this question. What can people delegate to government? Whatever they want?
Whatever they can do.
In order to delegate something, you first have to have it yourself. Can you delegate something you don't have? No. So the fundamental concept here is that people can only delegate authority which they have. Let me ask you this question. Do I have the right to stand in my doorway of my home with a loaded weapon day and night, if I want to protect against intrusion into my property? Do I have that right? Yes, I do have that right. Do I have the right to stand on my front yard with my garden hose running full blast day and night, if I can pay the bill, just in case a spark should fall on my home so I can put it out? Do I have that right? I have that right. Do I want to do those things? No. What do I want to do? I mean, other than protect my property, what else do I want to do? Sure. Want to go to work, want to come to school, want to visit with you, want to sleep, want to be with my family. I mean, there's lots of other things I want to do rather than just, this 24 hours a day. So what do we do? And my neighbors feel the same way. So what do? We get together, pool our resources. We go down the street where a strong young man lives and say to him, "How would you like to work for us?" He says, "Well, yeah, doing what?" "Well, we could stand guard on our property day and night, but we don't want to do that. We're going to pool our resources. We'd like to hire you to do that for us. And we're going to delegate to you some of the authority which we have. And to evidence that authority, we're going to give you a badge. And to enforce it, if you need to, because we could, we're going to give you a gun. And we're going to buy you a car, and we're going to put bubbles on the top, and you just drive around and just kind of watch. Will you do that?" He says, "Yeah, I think I can do that." We go down here the other side. Nice, strong young man. Talk to Sam. We say, "Sam, how would you like to work for us?" "Doing what?" "Well, each of us could stand out on our front yard with our garden hose running just in case a spark should fall on our home to put it out, but we don't want to do that. When we're pooling our resources, we'd like to hire you. And we're going to buy you a big truck. We're going to get a big tank to put on. We're going to paint it red. And we're going to buy you some big boots and a big coat and a big hat, all the trimmings. And we're going to have this long hose that hooks onto the tank. And we're going to get you a telephone. And when we call, please hurry. And make sure that tank is always full of water ready to go. Because if we call you, our house is on fire." "Yeah, I think I can do that." All right. I ask you, young people, what have we just created here? Okay, we call it a what? A police department and a fire department. What is it really? I want one word. Starts with a G. Government. What have we done? We have delegated to somebody else, to our representative, power that we have ourselves, but for efficiency's sake, we've pooled our resources and asked somebody else to do it for us. And I submit to you, young people, that's all government is. Or maybe we should say that's all government should be. The delegation of authority from individuals to do for us what we could do for ourselves in protecting our rights. But we choose to delegate it. What do you think? That's a pretty good definition of government, isn't it? So we call it a police and fire department. But what if government does things beyond what we delegate them to do? Does that ever happen? Oh, yes. If government does something that they don't have authority from the people to do, and by the way, who has authority in government? This is getting to be very basic here. Who has the authority? The only place where original authority lies is with the people, individually, right? And if the people don't have it to delegate, but the government does it anyway, what do we call that? There's a word for that. Starts with a U. Usurpation, that's correct. Somebody usurped the authority. There's this feeling out there that you know, just because you're government, you ought to all of a sudden have power. You have more power than the people did. That's very dangerous, isn't it? But that happens a lot. Well, let me give you some. Let me give you another example here. I have two neighbors. Over here is the Jones, and over here is the Smiths. And you know, we get along quite nicely. But I've noticed that the Jones, they have a big family, but they're strapped financially. And as a matter of fact, they don't even have an automobile. And I've just kind of noticed how they struggle. You know, it's hard to go shopping, it's hard to go to church, it's hard to do things families like to do because they have no car. And being the very compassionate and merciful person that I am, this bothers me. I've got the Smiths over here. They've got two cars. And I've just noticed that one of them is always there. They only drive one. One of them is, the other one's always there. And I'm looking at this inequity, right? And being the compassionate, merciful person that I am, what do I think? This isn't right. Something needs to be done here. I feel so badly for the Jones. And the Smiths, they've just got a lot of extra, and it's just sitting there. This bothers me so bad, I finally get up the nerve to go over and talk to Mr. Smith. And I say, Mr. Smith, have you noticed the plight of the Jones? He says, well, I know them a little bit, but don't know a whole lot about them. And so I explained it to him. He says, yeah, that's kind of a tough situation, isn't it? I said, yes. I have a suggestion, Mr. Smith. I noticed you have a car sitting here most of the time. Nobody drives it. Why don't you give that to the Jones? Well, thank you for the suggestion. Oh, but I insist that you do. He looks at me and says, get out of here. So I leave his property and I go back home, and this is pretty tough. Being the compassionate and merciful person that I am, my suggestion was just thwarted.